Hi, I'm Stu, and welcome back to another LumaFusion video tutorial. Today I've got something a little bit different for you. I'm going to show you how to edit up OBS video footage that you would set up if you were recording your gaming screen and also yourself using a webcam setup. On my right we have Sam, whose gaming channel is Malimo, and on my left we have Fifa. Now I should say at this point, the footage you're about to watch is a little bit lower res than I would have liked. We had problems getting high res stuff sent over to me just because of Sam's connection and things like that, so I literally had to screen grab the sample that you put up on YouTube for me, so it's not at the highest quality because we're working on effectively two sets of footage side by side, so effectively they're half the resolution. So it's going to look a little bit softer for the tutorial, but it should give you an idea of what's going on. So if you're into gaming and you want to broadcast what you're doing on YouTube Live or Twitch or whatever, and you're using the likes of OBS, which is an open source broadcasting piece of software that you can download for free, I believe it's both Mac and PC compatible, then this is probably the best setup that you get in terms of recording things. So you've got on your left hand side your game footage, and on your right hand side matched up audio footage of you reacting to things. Now, as you'll see from the video, Sam has just done this as a quick test for me, so he's not actually doing an awful lot of reacting or commentating or anything like that. It's purely 1 minute worth of footage just to show you as an example. So let's get started on this. So the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to need two sets of this footage, because obviously you're going to crop the left hand side and then you're going to crop the right hand side. So the first thing we're going to do is duplicate the footage. So we'll show user trackpad for this and duplicate both. Now I like to name my files so that I know where I'm at. For that, well, the top one will probably make Sam's view. If we basically press 0 on the keyboard, or we can tap on our little info icon on the left hand side, and then I can just rename this Sam's webcam. Tap return and we'll give it an orange color, and tap the info again. Go to the footage underneath, again tap on the info, tap on the naming convention, and we'll call this game video or game footage. You know what I'm talking about. And we will give this great color just to be different. Close that down. What we're going to do is we're going to zoom in and crop into these, and obviously if you're recording at the highest quality, these should look pretty sharp. It's going to get a bit soft from here on in, so bear with me on this one. I'm going to tap on the pencil icon and we're going to do Sam's webcam first of all. So we tap on it, and then from there we're going to go to frame and fit, and we're going to scale things up until we just get the border just slightly cropping in, and then we're going to move. Just make sure we've got everything balanced up in the y-axis so that there's no black showing, and then we're going to push things across on position x-axis a few taps just to make sure it's lined up okay, and that's all we need to do with that for now. We then go up to cropping, and we're cropping in from the left hand side, and we're just going to pull things in until we start to just see the edge of Sam's footage. Now, if you want to, you can crop the bottom as well and take away the black bars in the top. We did the top first, we're now doing the bottom. And there we go. That's Sam's footage dealt with. So what we can do is we can switch the visibility off on that, and we're now working on the game footage, and we're just going to repeat the same process. So if you're using the keyboard shortcut this time, tap 1 on the keyboard, and that will get you to zoom in. Scale things up, make sure they're just slightly wider, and then move the x-axis over until you see the game footage only. And then from there, go to cropping. This time we're going to bring in from the right first of all, because Sam's on the right hand side. Come down from the top, get it right this time, Stuart. And then up from the bottom. And there we have our game footage. Then we come back out. Now what you're going to do now is just intercut between the different clips at the point where there's a reaction. It's a case of listening to what Sam's saying and then cutting. So we'll do that next. Okay, so unusually, I didn't get to continue this video tutorial straight through. It's the next day. It's actually Tuesday, 22nd of June, and I started this on the Monday, although I've been practicing it a few times last week. I've had a thought, and my thought is this. You've got your game footage, I've got that set up in green. We've got Sam's webcam, which is a full screen shot, but I want to be able to cut between Sam's webcam and also a picture-in-picture view. So I think before we go cutting, we'll set that up first. And the reason why I'm thinking that is I'm trying to teach this in such a way that it takes into account the new multicam feature that will be coming out in LumaFusion pretty soon. Now, I've seen demonstrations of it, but I haven't actually got to play with it yet. It's not within the beta setup. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take Sam's webcam and I'm going to duplicate it. We will then go to our info and we'll rename Sam's webcam, and we'll just put a little in parentheses PIP for picture-in-picture, like so, and we'll make it blue. 0 if you're using a magic keyboard or a keyboard at all, gets rid of that. And now what we'll do is we'll set up this other layer as a picture-in-picture, and to do that we need to go down to a little pencil icon. We're already in frame and fit, which is good. Now remembering the fact that this has got to be cropped, which it has been, although I think I'm going to crop it a little bit more and just square it up a bit. So I'm going to pull it in from the left and just take it to the edge of Sam's shoulder. On the top, I'm going to come down to just around his baseball cap, and then at the bottom I'm going to come up and just chop into his hoodie, and then on the right just gently bring it into the edge of the hoodie there. And I'm going to go back to the left and just balance it up. It's quite a tight little box, but you get the idea. Now obviously you're also seeing the other layer behind it, so if I actually switch the visibility of that off now, you get a good idea of what's going on. And again, if you want to get back into the edit, press 1 on the keyboard for frame and fit, and then that allows us then to shrink this down to something a bit more appropriate. It's up to you whether you place it in this corner or down here, and there's no point in trying to use the picture-in-picture options within LumaFusion because they are not geared up for the fact that we've already been cropping these. So I think I'm going to place them on the top right. That's just my preference on this. That's looking pretty good. Then we'll come back out. So that gives us effectively 3 different layers to work to. So what I'm going to do is make sure each of the layers is unlinked. That's important. They need to float on their own merits. And again, I've got the keyboard shortcut, which is Option:, and if you're doing it via, let's say, the trackpad or pencil or just your finger, then you're tapping the little chain link icon, which I think they've changed slightly in the new version. You'll get to see that very, very soon. So they're all unlinked, and that means I've got the option of grabbing, for example, this one and pulling it in, and then that way we've got Sam in the corner, the football action going on.
And on the menu for you is a division rivals game. I certainly can't wait for this one, Lee. Oh, thanks, Derek. All the talking is done. Time now to put the coach's plans in. So
when it appears full screen, then you're obviously wanting to hide the picture-in-picture version. So to do that, just highlight the clip and give it a little trim. And just take it back a little bit, and that way we go with this.
My name is Derek Ray, with me in the commentary position.
You get the idea. We'll move it along a little bit.
All the talking is done. Time now to put the coach's plans in.
Diaz,
So we need to trim that bit there back a bit. Make sure it snaps into place. And then now we've got the picture-in-picture, full screen.
Diaz, roll.
So this is emulating if you were talking to camera and doing an introduction to your video. So not so much a commentary aspect, because you don't really want to take your eye off the gameplay. That's how to lose followers very quickly. But remember, this is just sample footage. So if you're going full screen at this point, it's because you're engaging with your audience directly.
Oh, Diaz, with the color. Oof, what a great.
So at this point, what we need to do is we need to line up and get rid of the footage here. So choppy, cut with the scissors, move it out the way, and then we're back to
Diaz, with the color.
picture.
Oof, what a great save that is. Fabulous, fabulous save.
And for my American audience, this is FIFA. You'll call it soccer, we call it football.
Oh.
And again, we're going back to full screen. So I did a little speech thing there. Again, I'm just going to make sure I'm lining up, and I'm using the arrow keys to juggle about, and I'm then going to highlight the picture-in-picture, cut there, slide along, say to about here.
Let's go. What are you doing? Get the ball, Finn.
So that's all I want from that bit. So what we'll do is we'll make a cut here, we'll slide that along, and we'll slide this back. Now when you're doing the multicam setup when it comes to LumaFusion version 3, and I should say at this point, when they release version 3, multicam and like subtitling, speed ramping and all these new features are coming later in the year. They have got them working, but they're still doing an awful lot of testing on them. They're getting the core LumaFusion version 3 with stabilization and a few other goodies together and UI improvements and things like that in place. So again, there we have our corner option.
Let's go. What are you doing? Get
Back
the
to
ball,
full
Finn.
screen, then back to the corner option.
Come on, man.
And then we're back to
Yep.
full screen again. I don't want to be quite back to full screen just yet, but what we'll actually do is we'll highlight it, move it along a little bit. I'm going to show you another technique that you can also apply, which is a bit of keyframing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a cut just roughly halfway along this remaining Sam's webcam footage. And the reason for that is I want to animate PIP going on there. I'm going to make a cut on the PIP webcam. So what we're going to need to do is just treat it roughly the same as the PIP. It might not be exact, but it'll be in the ballpark. Therefore, we're going to go into frame and fit. We're first of all going to go into cropping. So starting here, drop a keyframe and go back to frame and fit, or size and position rather, within frame and fit. Drop that keyframe. I'm then going to come in probably at the 41-second mark. We're going to drop another keyframe, and at this point we're going to shrink things down. So we're going to reduce the size to something manageable. Go to the cropping a little second. Again, drop a keyframe, although the minute and second you start to crop, that then takes care of that. I'm going to crop in from the left. So we're effectively going to animate the crop and also animate the positioning. I'm going to come down from the top a little bit and just cut into his baseball cap. And that looks pretty good. And then that's as much as we want to do cropping wise. I'll come in from the bottom a little bit and just trim it up. Yeah, just take away some of the black. You could square it off a bit more, but I quite like the oblong shape. Back to size and position. And at this point, I'm literally going to take the trackpad and just position it in place. Maybe reduce the size a little bit more. Position it in place up here. This is now going to take place of the PIP that we had in the other layer. We don't really need that layer now. There we go. And hopefully, if we run it through,
Well, we gotta do something here, bro.
there's an animated version.
Get the bloody nigga in.
We don't need this version now, although what I might do is just take it back a bit, because it's going to go from PIP to full screen. So again, this is mimicking as if you were doing an outro, maybe finishing off the game, that kind of thing, or you might just want to do that directly from the PIP. If you also wanted to just show off the game footage solely, then just move the layer along and just go straight down to the green layer and you're seeing the game footage. Another thing you can do is, if we take it back a little second, detach the audio, like so, and highlight the audio, unlink it, go back to the clip, and then what you can do now effectively is a J-cut, and that way we're still getting Sam's audio
Don't you?
and a motorbike, and then we're back to the full screen. Or if we take this along a little bit further,
Don't you?
We're back to the picture in picture.
Get the
And
ball.
then if we go to full screen, just move up and cut. And then take away that layer. Then full screen for what would be the outro.
Pass to Raul.
This is obviously test footage. Now, one other thing that you can probably do to finish things off, and go to a position where we can see the game footage. Then what you can do is go into edit, and then we'll go over to color and effects, pop down an original, just by tapping, and then just increase the vibrance. Just to pop the colour a little bit, and you can maybe increase the brightness a little bit as well. Tiny little bit more contrast. Just in case OBS hasn't given you a true Rec 709 look, you can just colour grade it a little bit, it doesn't need much. A bit more vibrance, a bit more contrast, a bit more brightness. And that takes care of that. And the final thing I just want to quickly show you is most gamers tend to have some kind of sort of surround on their picture in picture. So let's look at doing that for Sam. I'm going to add an overlay title, move it up above, position it here, I'll just stretch it out, make sure that it's locked off, and then we'll go into edit. Now we don't need the text, but what we do need is a shape, in this case an oblong, which I will bring in and position roughly over where Sam is. Shrink it down, shrink it in, stretch it out. We'll reposition that a bit more in a second or two. We don't need the your text here, so we'll just trash that. And we're back to our shape. Now what we want to do is we want to generate an edge color on how wide it is. So I'm going to guess 3 pixels. I'm going to tap here and change the color. We're going to make it a nice purple color, but a little bit deeper. That looks pretty good. And then just play with the width until we can see it. Then what we want to do is take the face color, reduce the opacity, and then reduce the width on this. Now I'm just going to go back to frame and fit in a little second. I'm just going to pull that in here a little bit more. Make sure I'm covering the edge. The best way to do this is just grab the middle toggle, bring it past and then bring it back up. And hopefully you'll get it to fit in the bottom. And then the side. And then back out. And there you have an edge for your picture in picture. You can of course make it any color and any thickness you want. And all you need to do is to duplicate it. Just tap on the little duplication icon, drag it across, position it down, and then just snap it in place. Make another duplication, grab it properly. Still getting used to this trackpad on the Magic Keyboard. I must admit, when I'm actually editing for myself, I tend to just use the screen and the Apple Pencil. But there you can see the overall effect. Widescreen, back to picture in picture, full screen again, picture in picture, and then the animated picture in picture. So what I would do at this point is I would take this, once again duplicate it. I can grab this, there we go. Still getting used to that trackpad. So we're about there, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Reposition this. And see how that's different now? Actually a bit bigger than what I had it before, but we'll work with it. So highlight that, go into our edit, and then just reposition it. pull it down. Just to get it working. Could even make it a little bit thicker, a couple of points. So obviously you would make sure this is consistent across the board. I've obviously got two different sizes because I was just showing you two different techniques. But that should work. So let's see.
Gotta do something here, bro.
We've got the animation.
Oh, we gotta do something
Boom.
here, bro. Get the bloody...
That's good. Go back in. Stretch that across. That's pretty much done. So it's just to show you different techniques from starting with the full screen, two video clips side by side, which seems to be kind of the standard for recording both the screen capture and the webcam, to just have it in one huge video clip. I don't know much about OBS, so just to run through it all again. This is the game footage, picture in picture with our edge. We then cut to a full screen option, which would mimic
Roll yes with the color.
an intro.
Oof, what a great save that.
So again, you wouldn't have game footage sounds running in the background.
Fabulous, fabulous save.
And firing it into the area. Couldn't get the header on the target, but robust defending.
Back to full
What's he
screen,
doing? Get the ball for him.
back to picture in picture, and then we've got our animated
man.
picture in picture coming up.
Well, we gotta do something here,
There we
bro.
go. Now you could obviously track the keyframing as well for the edge. It's exactly the same process, but because I kind of manually did it, then it comes a little bit trickier. So there's no shame in basically the edge line of the picture in picture, I should say, to appear.
Bro. Get the bloody... Can you go in?
Busting looking ball.
Don't you?
And full screen, more bike sound, and then we lost our picture in picture here, so again we can copy it here, duplicate it up. If I can grab it properly, move it across. Got a picture in picture locked in, and then we're back to full screen, mimicking an outro. And there we go. That's how you would take gamer footage from OBS and edit it in LumaFusion so that you could then upload it to your channel or somebody else's channel for gaming. Hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial today. Bit of a long one. This will become a much simpler process once multicam comes out for LumaFusion, and I will probably redo some footage with Sam, and there we go. So if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If I've earned your subscription today, by all means subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to tap the bell, and I'll catch you on the next video tutorial. See you later.